Kill me! I'm here! Kill me!
Hey everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of The Sheik, a 2014 documentary that's looking at the life and career of a man that was known by the name The Iron Sheik, a guy who portrayed a villain throughout his entire wrestling career. It is fascinating to learn more about him because he had such a crazy, interesting life. Now, I knew quite a bit going in. I knew that he was born in Iran and that he did do a lot of amateur wrestling over there, and he served as a bodyguard to the Iranian Shah, but to actually see him talk about it in length, not just in like interview form, but kind of giving an idea of the entire thing was really fascinating. I had no idea about some of his personal losses, like the fact that his daughter was unfortunately killed is just absolutely terrible, and his struggles with addiction had been something that I had seen publicized here or there, but to really see him, the footage of him in the thralls of addiction was really, really fascinating, and to see him actually come out of it and make himself a better man was really, really cool as well. But obviously this goes extensively into his wrestling career where, like I said, he played a bad guy throughout most of it, but it's really fascinating to see how over time, because he was so good at his role and had been involved in so many legendary stories, a former WWF champion, or I think he may have been a WWF champion at the time, I can't remember 100% sure of the timeline of that, whether it's correct. The guy who lost the title to Hulk Hogan in his very first run and really started off that entire thing to a degree, or at least had a hand in it. He had an impressive career and he was thoroughly hated. He used to go out there with Nikolai Volkov and they'd sing their national anthems, infuriating the crowd, but then over time, because he did all these great things and had all these memorable moments, when he goes to these wrestling events now, people fully embrace him as a good guy because of the importance of his career, which is something that I think is really, really cool to see in the wrestling business. Like you have a guy like Ric Flair, who was hugely, hugely hated at times, and you know, people spitting on him and the whole nine, and they show footage of that, like that with the Iron Sheik in this documentary for sure. Like there's footage of an old lady just screaming at him, wanting to really do awful things to him, and the same thing with Ric Flair. And then now that he's older, people just absolutely adore the guy because of respect for what he did. Now, some of the most striking images in this documentary are about how his body has been riddled with injuries over the years. Like, there's a moment that's just really difficult to watch where you see him and he had damaged his ankle severely, and you see him walking, and his leg is like this. He's walking on his foot almost like this, and like he's putting all the pressure on the side of his foot. It was just really difficult to watch. And he kind of talks about how much pain he's constantly in and chronically in, and it gives you a very good idea of why he may have become addicted to painkillers and addicted to drugs to try to numb that pain all the time, and why he spends a lot of his life in wheelchairs these days, which, you know, that's definitely sad to see, but it also gives you an idea of the level of sacrifice that these artists have. And I know a lot of people look down on the wrestling industry, but really when you really look at it, they are really artists at their core, where they're up there trying to tell stories and get people emotionally invested in it through matches that are, you know, are predetermined. I do understand why people look down on the industry to a degree, because it's fake and it can be very soap opera-esque, but when you really look at what they're doing, I have the utmost respect for them and the way they sacrifice themselves for it, and it was really interesting to see how they go into that. Like, I just thought this was just a fascinating story, very well told. And the one thing I did think was interesting is that there was extensive parts about a manager of his, and there's times where I had a very mixed feelings on him, because there's times where I felt like he really was trying to do his best to help out the Sheik, but then there was moments where he's filming his conversations with the Sheik where he's trying to get him to clean up and that kind of stuff, and it just made me really wonder what the purpose of that was. If they were I know that they were working on a documentary, but it seemed like it was quite a long time ago, and I don't know that they were working on it as far back as that. And if they were, they definitely weren't doing a great job, because the camera footage is very grainy and low quality. So I don't know, it just kind of felt almost a little grandstanding to me. But overall, he seems like a solid guy who really cared about the Sheik, and I feel like he wouldn't have stuck with him all those years if he hadn't. But it was kind of interesting to see how I perceived him. But yeah, I thought this was a very well made documentary and very interesting. So those are my thoughts on the Sheik. Let me know what you think, if you're a wrestling fan, if you hate it, what have you. Other than that, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that people will come and check out my videos, which otherwise wouldn't, which would be something I would absolutely appreciate you for. And please hit subscribe, hit that notification bell to let you know when I put out a new video. You can come, check them out, join the conversation, which I absolutely adore having conversations with people about movies. Other than that, have yourself a good day.